Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to Shoulder Tap. I am Jack, joined by Brett. Brett, I can't tell you how good it is to be back in front of the green screen doing this with you. How have you been?
I've been good, thanks. Markets have been moving, but overall, I took some time off a couple weeks ago and have to look forward to that at the end of this week as well. So I've been great, busy, but good with the markets.
Yeah, that's the thing with the vacations, though, man. You leave and then you come back, and you're even more tired than when you left. But I guess I'm feeling somewhat refreshed. Any refreshing P&Ls to note with our traders today?
We've got a few. I mean, with the way the markets have been today, with them starting up, trending upwards, and then kind of dipping down. What was that? Around 9 a.m. this morning. Caught a lot of people, it seems like. I know the house account has been struggling today, but we've got Nick for a tick. He's up about $800. We've got I've got these small today. Jata at about $2,500 on the good side of zero. And it has been a little bit rough with that reverse on the day, with it dipping to new lows on the day, and then I think we're almost getting to new highs at the moment, but it's got a little bit of ways to go. But that did catch a few people, and actually, there's some of the traders that I want to highlight today. I'm going to talk about some of their P&Ls today specifically, and some of the things that they've done well.
All right. Well, with that, you want to dive into these cards?
Yeah, let's. And the first trader that I wanted to talk about today is Brian P. We've talked about Brian P. quite a bit, I know, on leaderboards and also as featured with the trading cards. But I think it's been about a month or more since we have talked about Brian P. They are in a 150K live account, and they trade the S&Ps primarily. And one thing, Brian kind of got caught today. He's does have a expanded daily loss limit of 5,000 in this live account.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, he got really close to the daily loss limit. Did give back $4,913 of the profits that they've made. But one thing I want to commend him on is stopping before that daily loss limit liquidated them. Because
Mm-hmm.
you know what? You saved at least probably $100 in not having a market order submitted by the automated systems that do liquidate you at the daily loss limit. And there is value to that, and knowing that, hey, you know what? My trade strategy isn't realistic for an $87 of room to go up against the daily loss limit. Let's call it a day. And it looks like Brian did that. So kudos to you, Brian, on stopping for the day. Um, some things that Brian has been doing unbelievably at average daily P&L of $957. And I know I featured traders on Thursday last week with kind of what I would consider extremes in the winning day percentage and winning trade percentage. Brian is kind of in the middle with 52% winning days, but has managed to average 957 in profits over the 60 days in this live funded account. Um, Brian, I spoke with Brian actually a couple of weeks ago. I want to say it was on the 15th or 16th, and he had requested expanded daily loss limit that I mentioned earlier. And I'm always hesitant to expand a daily loss limit, but the thing about the trading since then, he's hit it a few times, but he's managed to, and this does not account for today, but he's managed to take just shy of 21,000 out of the markets since that expansion to the loss limit, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, Brian has had, let me find my numbers here. Brian has had 80,000 moved from their XFAs to live, and he has taken, what is it, 70,000 in payouts. And I know he did call just a few minutes before shoulder tap started, and I was not able to get to it. But I do know that he is requesting another payout and has a very healthy balance, which he's done a great job keeping a healthy balance while taking these payouts regularly, which is something that's really important to do to ensure the longevity of the account.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in this account for 60 days, as you mentioned. It's something like 65 or $70,000 in payouts. So that's phenomenal. Don't know what to say about that. Um, I had noticed that he seems to be pretty selective with the number of trades he's taking a day. A lot of days with just a single trade, and kind of scaled appropriately. I'm kind of noticing here. It seems like Brian was trading 3 lots for his one trade, and then with the expanded limit, has moved to 5 lots. Uh, I mean, with a 5K limit, I don't know, especially if you're going all in, all out, if I would do 5 lots, but I'm a little risk adverse that way. But um, he's definitely making the money on the up days to justify that sort of limit.
Yeah, that, and actually in the last segment, one thing that they were talking about was keeping it small. And one thing, even before I saw that segment, that I had in my notes is one or two contracts. If you want to limit your risk, that's the way to do it, with one or two contracts. And Brian has really done a great job overall in the 60 days in the account. Averages 3 trades per day, just 9 contracts on average per trade, and and scales into and out of the positions and really limits that risk. And you can see that with the average winning day being just over 5,000 and the average losing day just over 3,000.
His longest streak that I can see along. Oh, now I see one where he did it. One, two, three, four, five, six. Hitting the daily loss limit 6 times in a row at one point. But that kind of shows how much he's making on the other days. But it's also not a report that's sort of all daily loss limits and then a couple huge days. There's a lot of variety there with the losses and the gains. I think this is a strong card. I mean, what can you say? Someone who took $70,000 in payouts is going to have a strong card. But I think that they should generally just keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part, Jack. The one thing I would say is it does appear, based on the trading that I reviewed, looks like uh, Brian is kind of getting a little too committed to some of the trades and allowing some of those daily loss limits I see with just one or a few trades on the day. And that's tough because you got to learn when to take your losses. But you are absolutely correct in that it's working. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It seems to me too that he could be. It's interesting because you're right on some of those daily loss limit days. It's just you can see exactly what happened. It's one he put 1 5 lot on of what's he trading? Ooh, the ES.
S&P.
Good on you, Brian. Where it's just like one trade, they put on 5 lots, they hit their loss limit, right? Then there's other days where there's like 4 or 5, and those tend to be the up days. But yeah, I think you're probably right. If there was one thing I would say is maybe not set on like one trade. Like it's fine if you have a 5K daily limit, but that doesn't mean you should probably be losing your whole limit on one trade.
I completely agree with you. I mean, and kind of invalidating what I had said, I do believe what I had said earlier as far as don't hit your daily loss limit on just a couple or a few trades in a day. But Brian's average win loss per trade is right at 2 to 1, actually a little bit better than 2 to 1 with 23.91 in profit on the average winning trade and 1060 in losses on the average losing trade. So really doing a good job managing it. And it shows just how much more, even though the winning trade percent is a little below 50% at 43, it does show how that reward over risk ratio is so important to being profitable and making sure you're at least 1 to 1. And if you're below 50%, you have to be greater than 1 to 1 to move on and continue trading the account, really.
And let it be known, this shows. So he's, had a high at some point. He made $93,000 in this account, right? Um, you can make a lot of money without trading 15 lots and without racking up tons in commissions. It's a pretty clean commission card here, right? Some of these cards we look at, we see people paying 500, 700. I believe I saw $1,400 a day in commissions once. You don't need to do that. You can still make a lot of money. So great job, Brian. Good stuff.
Yeah, great point, Jack. And it's such an easy thing to do, especially when I'm frustrated in the markets. It's so easy to click, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
it is generally one of the worst things that any trader can do. The problem is sometimes it works, and that sometimes encourages a trader to try it again and
Mm-hmm.
let the frustration get the better of them. And I know I've hit my daily loss limit plenty of times doing that.
All right. Well, with that, who do we got up next?
All right, next up we've got Benjamin M. And Benjamin is in a 50K live account. Trades a lot of the indexes and looks like the yen as well. Um, doing, I would say, decent in the account, a little above average, even though they've got a daily net P&L average of down 187. They've only been in the account for, I think it's, let me get my notes, 17 days now. And
Mm.
today they are up $300 and they've stopped trading. But with being down just over $200 a day on average, you know what? It's not a bad start. It's something to work from. And it shows that you're able to limit your losses 60% or 59% winning day average, but kind of just treading water for the time being, which shows that hey, you can analyze your trades, go back and look at what you've done and figure out what's working, figure out what isn't. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
things that stand out to me for Benjamin's trading is taking 15 trades a day, 2 contracts per trade, which is phenomenal. One thing, almost more importantly than the daily loss limit, that I think a lot of traders and users could benefit from is limiting that contract position limit more than necessarily the daily loss limit because you can make a good living on 1 to 2 contracts at a time, especially with market volatility, which with some of the moves that we've seen even today, the volatility is there. And with voting season in the US, the markets are going to be volatile for the next few months, probably at a minimum. And you can get it done and limit that risk as much as possible.
So the big thing that jumps out at me here after I clear my throat is this is a pretty clear cut example of someone risking more in a day than their trading deserves at this point. Um, pretty much all of the losing days in these 17 are $1,000 or just under it, right? Which is the limit in a 50K account. Um, but they haven't really. One day they made 1,100 bucks, but they're not making. If you're willing to lose $1,000 with some frequency, right? We see 59 win days there. If you're willing to lose $1,000 on 40% of your days, you really have to be able to prove that you can make a good deal more than $1,000 with some frequency, right? Um, I don't know if we have the stats in front, but I wonder what his average winning day is. Is that up there?
Average winning day, I show at $407. And I'm glad you brought that up. That is a point that I wanted to make, is kind of similar to Brian getting locked into a losing trade. Um, limit um, Benjamin could benefit from limiting his losses on individual trades.
Hmm.
If you take a look at the recent win percentage of individual trades on a daily basis, it's been declining. And they've been treading water in the account so far in the 17 days that they've had it. Made money today, $300, fantastic. Another benchmark day towards a payout. But one thing that I know I was guilty of, and a lot of traders are guilty of, is, you know what? Initially making $500 in a day seems amazing, or losing $500 in a day, that's tough to stomach, but you grow more comfortable with it. And the longer that you can hold off on being comfortable with really any losses, you're going to benefit as a trader from that.
I would just recommend that Benjamin cut his daily loss limit to $500 and keep it there until you can make 1,000 on that risk. And if you're gonna use the whole 1,000, you got to be able to put up like a $2,000 day at some point. So I would just be careful. Just because the loss limit is there, it is a limit, not a suggestion or a goal. Yeah, controlling the downside is gonna lead you a long way there, Benjamin. But pretty good stuff so far. Hope we can turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last trader that I wanted to feature, Heather, is really in line with what we've been discussing about Benjamin. And Heather, it seems like maybe a little too comfortable with hitting that daily loss limit as well. Um, and in addition to that, she needs to consider taking another trade even after a losing trade to start the day. Um, Average losing day is she's only had 3 losing days in this account. It is a rather new account at 13 days, trade days under their belt. But average daily P&L $113 on the good side, and it does look like they've gotten away from that daily loss limit after hitting it. I think just a few days, about 5 days into the account, and they've really done a good job of staying away from the daily loss limit. Even though it's a 150K live account, they've only exceeded 1,000 the one time, and really managed the losses. But consider taking another trade or two, even if you got surprised by the market, took some losses on your first trade.
Yeah, I'm seeing, the loss limit on the 150K is 3K, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seeing her biggest. Am I missing this here? Or maybe in this count, I see her biggest is like a $1,200 loser.
Yes, I think I misspoke when I said daily loss limit, as I'm used to seeing 1,000 associated with a 50K
Yes.
account.
I mean, what I would say here is that this is really like a really good use of not like fully utilizing your loss limit, when you can lose $3,000, but only lose on your worst day in these, what is it, 17, 13 days. Uh, Here are the losers. $1,200 was the biggest, then a $700 loser, a $90 loser, a $2 loser, and a $400 loser. The rest are winners. That's really disciplined money management from what I can see. Also, very few trades. It's usually one trade a day for one lot, a lot of them. Seems like she sized up a little bit to maybe doing two lots along the way. But I like it. Very efficient. She's holding trades for about, so she's in like the 10 to 15-minute range, it seems here. So coming in, making one trade, and then I guess shutting off the machines.
Yeah, which it's tough to sit on your hands and turn off the machine, especially when you're making money. And Heather's doing a good job of that, especially for a 13. Today's her 14th day in the account. Today was a little rough, lost about $700, but it looks like they've stopped for the day, and that is going to hurt the average daily P&L. But the average daily P&L after this will be above zero, which is kind of the all important fact of these accounts.
I would love to see her take a payout at some point, though,
Yeah,
especially
that's one thing
with
I
how,
have in my notes.
especially given how disciplined she seems to be with the management of her capital. It's like she's not trading 15 lots. It's not like she needs a ton of it in there to do it. She's done a great job building up so far. She's clearly, it would seem, let me see if she's eligible. She's got one, two, three, four, five. Yeah, she's eligible to take a payout. Heather, if you're out there, take some of this money, get something nice. That's my only
Yeah,
advice. Besides
has
that,
a
looking pretty good.
has a nice and healthy account balance, can definitely take a payout, and has earned a payout. Has the 5 benchmark days of $200 or more in profits, and really deserves it, as the trading has been good and it is a good platform to go from into the future. Um, could benefit from getting that average win loss up a little bit, but 65% winning trades are doing it and keeping Heather in a profitable space in this account.
Well, very nice cards, Brett. Thank you for sharing. We're about out of time here for the shoulder tap. Ooh, that was a cool transition that JD just did behind there. I'll have to get that some more. Anyway, stick around because after this, we have group coaching with JD and the Hogue Man. Coach Jay is stopping by at 1 o'clock. And then to close out the day, me and Andre will be doing Power Hour with Muhammad, a fan favorite. Lord only knows what time it is in Saudi Arabia, but he is being a trooper by being there. Stick around. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with group coaching.